Hey guys. Oh, I'm just readjusting here. I wanted network connection. How does it get any better than that? It is crazy windy right now. This storm is just blowing in and the cloud. We're in a tornado watch. I actually had a dream in a tornado last night. It was really funny. So I dreamt that Travis, my husband, and I, and Helena, we were somewhere at this. Travis, we were trying to rush. Let me move around a little bit and see if I can get a better connection. We were trying to rush around and get to safety, and Travis was carrying Helena. And then I woke up and went to the washroom, and then I remember thinking, going back to bed, like, geez, I wonder if we made it. Like, that was my thought. I wonder if we made it through the storm and how we did it. And I wanted to like go back into my dream to find out what happened, but I didn't do that. That didn't happen. Have a coffee chat with you about today, although that's kind of fun. I wanted to talk to you about being present in the moment and actually just being and receiving, being present with your body and what's going on with you in that moment, and receiving from all of the things, from the earth and from the people around you, from everything. So it get really busy teaching riding lessons and more with the horse training and outside stuff and cutting the grass and like just getting out fishing, all of the things. So we just got home yesterday. We were up at the lake for a few days, and we had an amazing time fishing, and we had beautiful weather, and it was so great. And we got home, and I had like I had a lesson booked last night after we got home, and then I had 3 lessons booked today. And I'm thinking in my head, I got to go tomorrow, so I had all these things I wanted to get done. And so this morning when I was going out to work with my training horses are so humbling, and they are just so, yeah. And my apologies for the connection. See, I have a live viewer again. And if that's you, Lori, hello. Anyway, so I went to catch my training horse this morning, and we're ready, we're going into the arena. And he's like, find a good spot. He refuses to go inside the arena. And so I'm getting a little frustrated with him, and I'm like, well, no, you're going in whether you like it or not. And he did this really slick move that I ducked his head. I didn't have a long lunge line on him. I just had a lead rope, so it was shorter. And he took off. Well, I could get really frustrated with him, or I could just take a deep breath. Like, okay, cool. Now I gotta go catch him. And he's a little tricky to catch anyways. So I grabbed a pail of oats, and I make sure I grab my phone from the barn, and I can see him running to the other part of the yard. And I'm heading over there. And Reba, our dog, she's excited about it. And so running with him, or he thought she was chasing him, whatever. And he's kind of going around. Could have went down the driveway and down the road, but he didn't. He went out into the wheat field next to our house. I'm like, damn it. And we have a beautiful looking wheat crop, and I was not driving the Ranger through the crop. So my niece came to help me. So I'm like, you take the Ranger and you drive down the road and you see how far he went into the field. I'm going to start walking out to see if I can catch him. And so I'm walking in the wheat, and it's so wet because we got like an inch of rain, like it's wet. And the wheat is like up to my chest almost. It's amazing. And I just like within 5 steps, I was soaked. My pants, I was wearing jeans, were soaked. My boots were full of water. My shirt was wet, and I'm like, well, I'm in it. We're going. So I'm walking through the wheat to go catch him. And I walked like to the end of the field. I got fairly close to him, maybe within 200 yards. And then he started running down the trees. So I turn and I'm walking that way. And my niece didn't have her phone with her, so I couldn't phone her and tell her where he was. So I was kind of like, he's, sending energetic messages. He's going this way. So I'm turning and walking through the field the other direction. And I'm thinking, I think this field is fenced, so that's really good. And he's walking along the outside. And there was a part that wasn't fenced. So he went out into the ditch and went down the gravel road that is by our place. And I'm like, okay, my niece drove down this road to go to the neighbors to kind of stop him that way. So maybe she'll come out. And he's just walking now. So he's walking like, a quarter of a mile ahead of me, and I'm walking behind him. And I tried calling him a few times and shaking the pail of oats, and there was no stopping him. He's down the road, and my niece came out of the road before he got there. So I'm like, good. And she was standing there, and I'm like, her are kind of like jigged around her. Anyway, so I'm like, shit, I really need to phone for backup now. So I phoned my husband. He knew what was going on. I'm like, hey, I need backup. Like, the horse got past Krista. He's going down to the highway. Could you come down from the other side and stop him or something? I don't really know. So he's like, okay. So then Krista was there with the ranger. So I jumped in the ranger, and he was kind of in the ditch. So we zoomed past him on the road and got ahead of him. And he just turned around and started heading back to the yard. I'm like, okay, well, that's fine. So I'm like, Carissa, I'm going to try to get ahead of him again. And if I can he didn't seem to be scared of the ranger at all, which was cool. So he didn't run from it. So I actually drove up to him, started shaking the pail of oats, and then he came to me. I'm like, okay, caught him. And then just as I caught him, Travis came out of the driveway, and they saw that I had him caught so they could go back. So then it was a long walk back to the yard for us, like 3/4 of a mile. And I was like, man, so I was kind of like, what is this? And I'm like, well, if horses, are an invitation, what is he inviting me to be with him that I wasn't being present at all with him? When I was leading him to the arena, I was just thinking in my head about all of I wasn't actually being with him or receiving with him energetically. I was in my head, and I was doing my pattern of thinking. And so I acknowledged that, and I thanked him for showing me a different way. And that whole time, I'm like, I could get really pissed off at him and be really frustrated, but I'm like, it's actually just kind of funny. And so we're walking down the road, and I'm thinking about that. And then I'm like, man, these wildflowers in the ditch are so beautiful. I mean, they're just bright yellows and pinks and some purples. And everything is so lush and green here right now because we have been getting a good amount of rain. And I'm like, I didn't even notice these before. I wasn't taking the time to look at the flowers or to notice the beauty of the planet around me and just being in the moment. And I'm like, the only thing that is real is like right now, like living in the moment right now, not thinking about what I should have, could have, would have done. I already made a choice in the past. And okay, and that choice got me here. And what's the point of stressing out and worrying and trying to figure out my future, and then missing the moment, the present moment just passes you by and you miss it. And I'm like, you know what? This is a huge eye-opener for me again. And thank you, horse. And thank you. So him and I trudged back to the yard. I'm soaking wet. And I had so much water in my rubber boots. Oh my God, it was crazy. So we got back to the barn, and I just switched into my riding boots, and I jumped on him. he went into the arena just fine, got in the arena. I jumped on him for a quick 15-minute ride. He was great. He was so good. And I was like actually really just being in the moment and receiving from him and connecting with him. And I was not in my head about all the things. So then I'm like, thanked him for that, put him back out. And then I got ready to get into my day of riding lessons. And I had so much fun. And who showed up were so good. And I thanked him for that too, because he contributed and all of the things. A wet wheat field and across the yard to invite you to that possibility. So that is my coffee chat for today. And looking back, like that is what consciousness invites you to, is to just be in the moment and receive and live, actually live and be, rather than thinking and doing and figuring things out. And things get so much easier when I get into that space of being and receiving and choosing in the moment, and it's so much more fun. And I really needed a reminder about that this morning. So thank you, horse. So anyway, that's my apologies for the connection. That probably makes it a little difficult for people to join live, because I see